We're standing here in front of the parliament in Beirut, where the 11th session of the presidential elections has just finished. Of course, there are hundreds of people here today who are protesting just to get justice for the Beirut port explosion that happened on August 4th, which they still feel like they have not gotten justice for.
We should continue to pursue justice until justice is served. Whatever we can do, we will be doing. Any country that believes in human rights cannot let this crime pass just like this without justice.
January 19th, 2023. The day starts out with the first presidential election session of the year at 11 a.m., but this time, protesters were already gathering in order to voice their continued disdain for the lack of justice they've received for their loved ones victim to the August 4th explosion. The presidential elections arriving at its 11th session shows us that there is an issue. To become president, the candidate needs 86 votes in the first round of voting and 65 in the second round. The problem is that there has yet to be a candidate to receive this number of votes, mostly due to members submitting blank votes, the fact that not all parliament members have been showing up, and parliament members leaving early before the second round of voting starts. This makes protesters angry at the MPs, even the ones known to be independent and fighting for change. Some protesters even shouted their disdain at them as they walked out of the parliament. The new Lebanon TV got to speak to one of those members and hear her point of view of what it's like being on the inside.
It's a cinema, it's a theater, a piece of theater made by corrupted people. The vacuum is for the benefit of corrupted and criminals. This is why we need constitutions.
The protesting continued with familiar faces from previous ones such as Mireille Khouri and Tracy and Paul Najjar, both of whose children died in the blast.
My daughter was killed, and it's her right to have justice. It's my right to know who killed my daughter and why. Justice won't bring back my daughter. Justice won't ease the pain that we are feeling, but justice will mean that everything that happens at least happens for certain reasons. And having justice means that me, Paul, and Axel, and all the people that are still fighting here for Lebanon will be able to have the country back and will be able to live securely and in a safe way in this country.
Absolutely.
This crime is not a Lebanese issue. It is an international issue. The victims are from all nationalities.
The reason I'm here is because I lost my husband in the explosion and I was wounded myself. We hope, of course, to get the MPs to show support, to ask for a law that will make it possible for Judge Bitar to continue his investigations despite all the recusal lawsuits that were presented.
Judge Tariq Bitar, the name behind one of the biggest points of contention in Lebanon. Bitar was assigned the Beirut port explosion case in early 2021. However, recently, the Lebanese government deemed this judge unfit for the trials due to his being affected by the blast himself. Many Lebanese civilians became outraged as they saw Judge Bitar as an unbiased, fair voice of reason who could bring justice to those affected by the explosion. The people are now in a worrisome period where a new, possibly corrupt judge, in their opinion, could become the final replacement. If that happens, many believe they will not ever see justice. This decision in waiting has become one of the main reasons of protest during recent Lebanese demonstrations. One significant takeaway is that people from various political parties are joining in the streets for this common goal of justice.
أي رئيس سيادي وإصلاحي هو الرئيس اللي نحن بدنا إياه. اليوم كنا عم نقترح على ميشيل معوض، يمكن بكرة يصير في إجماع بالمعارضة على اسم تاني غير ميشيل معوض، بس الأهم أي رئيس عن جد عنده مشروع وبده يشتغل للبلد هو رئيس مرحب به، أول شيء من القاعدة ومن الشعب اللبناني، ثاني شيء من نواب المعارضة. نحن اليوم خسرنا رفاقنا مثل ما خسرنا أحبائنا بهيدا البلد بالانفجار يلي دمر العاصمة تبعنا. رفاقنا يلي كانوا رايحين ليشتغلوا وهن وبشغلهم كمان انقتلوا. قتلتهم هيدي السلطة المجرمة بوقت كان فيها تحافظ عليهم وتمنعهم من أي ضرر هن والناس يلي كانوا ببيوتهم، لأنه كانوا بيعرفوا إنه النيترات موجودين وإنه الموضوع كان قابل إنه ينفجر. فمن هيك نحن أول مطلب لنا هو يتركوا القاضي بيطار يعمل شغله لحتى نوصل للعدالة، لحتى ما بقى تنعاد هيدي الحركات وهيدي الجرائم، لأنه اليوم إذا ماتوا 200 شخص وما تحاسب الفاعل بكرة رح يموت 2000 و3000 و20,000 شخص.
We we do need a president in order to get justice going. And more than that, the impunity that is going on is absolutely unacceptable. And this case matters to every single Lebanese that has the minimum of dignity. We need to defend our dignity and to defend our country. And this is an absolute scandal. And this is the reason why we're standing here in solidarity with the parents of the victim. And we will not back down. It is very important that every Lebanese comes and joins us, because this case is the biggest case.
William Noon, recently released from arrest due to his participation in vandalizing the courthouse during the last protest, was also in attendance and had this to say.
أكيد بدنا انتخاب رئيس جايين مشان نقول للنواب إنه عندكم دور بتقدروا تلعبوه، اللي هو عريضة ممكن تطلع على جنيف على مجلس الأمن تساعد بتسيير تحقيق دولي، ونحن كمان تنكون واضحين النواب هن اللي بيمثلوا الشعب، وهن المفروض ياخذوا دورنا جوا بالمجلس، يضلوا يحكوا عن أربع عيب ويذكروا إنه في مشكل بالبلد اسمه أربع عيب، في تحقيق لازم يمشي حيلا طريقة. لبنان نحن بنحكي عن قضية محددة نقدر نخلص فيها، كل قضية لها حل وحدة. لبنان تنحل بده شغلة عظيمة، بده أعجوبة. عم نحكي عن قضية المرفأ بالتحديد، في حل قانوني لازم يصير، شيء بمجلس النواب وشيء بمجلس القضاء الأعلى.
يلي دمروا الأمن بلبنان يلي ما عم بخلوا القضاء يشتغل.
The 11th presidential election session ended after the first of the 3 rounds needed in order to successfully elect the leader. This roadblock was due to multiple MPs leaving the chamber after the first round. In the previous election sessions, Prime Minister Nabih Berri has held off on continuing the rounds when there were less than 86 members present in parliament. To get an idea of the voting results of that first round, 37 votes were left blank, 16 ballots were null or held names of ideas rather than people viable for the presidency and therefore were left to spoil, and 34 ballots were for the repeated majority voted candidate Michel Mouawad. A candidate needs 86 votes to pass the first round and 65 votes in the following rounds to become president. Once the session was adjourned, something new happened that surprised both parliament members and the Lebanese at large. Change MPs Najat Saliba and Melhem Khalaf made a historic announcement. They would stay in the parliament building until a president was elected. That meant sleeping overnight at the parliament, something no one had done before. Their reasoning? Defending the Constitution. Electricity cuts made for flashlight-illuminated pictures of them, along with other Change MPs who stood by their side for some of the night. The New Lebanon TV was able to speak with Najat live in an exclusive interview from the darkened parliament chamber, getting a rare insight into one of her first nights there.
It was liberating, because before we were trapped into this vicious cycle that was never ending. Now we feel that at least we're mobilizing the thoughts, and hopefully this would lead to mobilizing some actions.
For now, the Lebanese still wait for an answer, as blackouts, cholera, inflation, and corruption plague the nation.
This is Alexandra's country. Her house is here. She was buried here. It's our country, it's our right to be here. We receive messages from people saying, you guys give us strength, you guys give us hope. On the contrary, they give us strength, they give us hope.
Hope, something the Lebanese cling to as they fight this battle for justice. We ask William if he still has hope.
From Beirut, Ani Kasparian, The New Lebanon TV.